Hey there, have you ever thought about this? Someday we will all become stories. It sounds a little poetic, doesn't it? But the more you think about it, the more it makes sense. One day we won't be here anymore. Our voices will fade, our footsteps will disappear, and all that will remain of us will be the memories in people's hearts, the stories they tell about us. It's a kind of a crazy thought. Everything we are doing right now, laughing, working, loving, struggling, it is all part of a story that one day someone else will tell. Think about the people who have been in your life but are no longer here. Maybe it's a grandparent who always told you bedtime stories. Maybe it's a childhood friend you lost touch with. Maybe it's a historical figure you admire. Even though they are gone, their presence still lingers, doesn't it? Why? Because of the stories attached to them. When we remember someone, we don't just recall their name or their face, we remember moments, how they made us feel, what they stood for, the little things that made them them. Maybe it's the way they laughed, the way they always knew the right words to say, or the way they lit up a room. And just like we remember others, one day people will remember us. It is a humbling thought, but it also makes you wonder, what kind of story am I leaving behind? Are we writing a story worth telling? Every single day, we are adding pages to our life's book. Every choice we make, every conversation we have, every moment we share, it all becomes part of the legacy we leave behind. But here is the thing, we don't always live like we are writing a story. We get caught up in deadlines, responsibilities, and worries about the future. We chase things that seem important in the moment but don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. So let's take a step back and ask ourselves, if my story ended today, would I be happy with how it is told? Would I be remembered as someone who was kind, who made people laugh, who followed their dreams? Or would my story be filled with regrets, missed opportunities, and moments I let slip away? That is the thing about stories. They are not just about the big moments, they are about the little ones too. The way you confront a friend, the way you help a stranger, the way you pursue your passions, even when it is hard, all of it adds up. Think about the stories that have stayed with you, whether they are from history, books, movies, or real life. What is it about them that makes them unforgettable? It is not the material thing, it is not fame, it is not power, it is impact. It is the way people lived, the way they stood for something, the way they made others feel. That is what lasts. That is what turns a person into a story worth remembering. Here is something interesting. You never really know which moment of your life will turn into a lasting story for someone else. Maybe it is a time you gave advice that changed someone's life. Maybe it is a random act of kindness that someone never forget. Maybe it's a joke you told that made someone smile on their worst day. Sometimes the smallest moments end up being the ones that mean the most, and that is the beauty of life. We are constantly, unknowingly writing stories in the lives of others. Imagine your future story. Fast forward 50, 60, maybe even 100 years in the future. You are no longer here. What do you want people to say about you? Do you want them to say you were someone who brought light into their lives? Do you want them to say you inspired them, helped them, encouraged them? Do you want them to smile when they remember you? You have the power to decide that right now. Because the truth is, we don't know how much time we have, but what we do know is that every single day is a chance to add something meaningful to our story. Now you might be thinking, but I'm just an ordinary person. What kind of story do I really have? Here is the thing. You don't have to be famous to leave a mark. You don't have to change the world in some huge way. All you have to do is matter to someone. Maybe your story won't be written in history books, but it will live on the people whose lives you touched, in the laughter you shared, in the kindness you showed, and that's enough. Because at the end of the day, it is not about how many people know your name, it is about how many hearts you touched along the way. So here is my challenge to you: be present. Stop rushing through life, appreciate the little moments. They might become the ones people remember the most. Be kind. You never know what someone is going through. A single kind of act could become a story they tell for years. Take risk. Don't let fear stop you from living the life you want. The best stories come from stepping outside your comfort zone. Follow your passion. Do what makes you feel alive. If it brings you joy, it is worth pursuing. Make people feel something. Whether it is a laughter, love, or inspiration, leave people better than you found them. Because someday, when you are no longer here, your story will be told. Make it one that matters. One day, someone will sit down and tell a story about you. Maybe it will be a grandchild you never got to meet. Maybe it will be a friend reminiscing about the good old days. Maybe it will be a stranger who remembers something small but significant about you. You won't be there to add to the story, but you are here right now. You have the pen in your hands. You are writing your story with every choice you make. So make it count, because someday we will all become stories. So let's make our unforgettable. Thank you so much for listening.